Welcome everybody to Astrology Unplugged. Been looking forward to tonight. In case you're not used to us, we are like an astrology magazine. We do different topics every week. We've been into this about 4 years. And if you're not able to make it live, it appears on YouTube later on this evening, and there are about 217 episodes. Anyhow, it's very hard to go through all the years and keep coming up with something interesting to talk about, because I don't always like talking about current events. But I remember back to my days of 1982 when I was on the radio, little tiny radio station near Pittsburgh, and 84. In 1984, I got the idea of starting an astrology roundtable, and I wanted 12 signs in the room with me representing each sign's zodiac. So back then, we sent out postcards with your birth information on it. And I took everybody's stuff, and I took all the Geminis, and I figured out who was the most pure Gemini. And I invited each one of them. So we sat around for 3 hours. Imagine how boring. For 3 hours, 14 of us, engineer, me, and one of each of the 12 signs. And we called each other by the sun sign. Hey, Leo, how you get along with Virgo? And it was a lot of fun. So tonight I'm resurrecting that after many years, and I want you to be able to get things off your chest, good and bad. In terms of, I'm not sure, but when I'm with Sagittarians, I don't feel well. I feel irritated by them. Or when I'm around an Aries, I feel hurried, and I'm not sure why. Or whatever sign you want to talk about. And I hope to turn it into not just a bad mouthing list, but into learning about each sign, because what you'll learn in true astrology is each sign has a real essence, and if that essence is expressed properly, it's usually not problematic. But most people express their essence positively and negatively, and sometimes that's why people rub their chin and wonder why they may have a difficulty with another sign that is. So we're going to open up the floodgates, and you're going to be able to talk about whatever sign you want to. And I'm going to try to make it instructional. And I think that we're pretty far along. We're pretty advanced in an awful lot of ways, this group. So I think we'll find it to be pretty informative. So whatever you want to talk about, it's up to you. We just raise your hand. I'll open the gates up to you and tell me how you feel about a certain sign, or why do you feel this way about that sign, and I'll try to explain it to you. Okay? So it's all yours. Come on, Susan. I can tell you're itching to go. I can tell you are, but you're
you're probably not going to like this.
I don't care if it's Capricorn. It's all right.
No. The thing is, I can't think of a sign that I really don't get along with. I can think of a sign that has difficulty with me.
That's all right. It's a very Sagittarian outlook to be pretty much easygoing with everybody.
I think so. I mean, I have Taurus friends. I have Virgo friends. You're not supposed to get along with these signs if you're Sag.
There ain't no supposed tos.
Now,
there ain't no supposed tos.
Pisces and Virgos get very impatient with me. I have to be a little bit more careful with them.
Remember now. Here, let me get this right here. We're going to get off on our lessons here. So here you are, a Sag, and, right. and Pisces are at a right angle to you. Pisces and Virgos are irritating to you because of the square.
No, they don't irritate me. I'm fine with them.
I know what you said. They get irritated with you. The reason why is basic astrology is you don't get along well with the ones next to you, or odd numbers away from you. 1 sign away, 3 signs away, 5 signs away. And their aspects are the reason for that. And you get along real well with the ones in the triangle, the fire triangle of Aries, Leo, Sag. Now, the reason there's difficulty there is all three of you are mutable. Sag, Virgo, Pisces. But mutability means you give this out. I give this energy outward. Well, Sagittarius give it out through enthusiasm. Well, Virgos don't give it out through enthusiasm. They give it out by being productive, working together. And Pisces don't give it out through enthusiasm. They give it out through love. So that's where they end up being irritated with you, I would think. Well, thank you for that getting us started. And let's go on to anybody else who might feel that they have difficulty with another sign or whatever you want to say about another sign. Let's talk with Barbara. Barbara, what's on your mind?
What is up with these Virgos who feel compelled to solve all the problems, even if they're not asked?
Virgo's a very difficult sign. Now, you got to remember, in this book, I'm not just plugging this book, The Exquisite Zodiac, but this book really explains it deeply. This book goes down to each sign as deep as we could go to explain where they're coming from. Well, the thing that we got done with this book, and the Virgo chapter is all about their perfectionism, which is what you always hear.
Yeah.
I changed that to be more importantly focus on their purity and their caring. But what Virgos do is they fix what's wrong. They have an instinct to fix what's wrong. When they sense something's wrong, it drives them nuts, and they're really good at fixing it, and they fix it, which is why they usually end up working in hospitals or working in a wood shop. Engineers. But the problem with it, and I've done a lot of lectures on a lot of videos on it, and most of my readings are Virgo females. I had another one today. The problem is that before you can fix what's wrong, you have to sense that there's something wrong. And that lends towards a word criticism. And it's a real art to sense something's wrong in something, but not be critical. And Virgos are very artful at that. Virgos are excellently artful at acting like they're not critical. But if you get to know them inside, they're being critical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm laying on a blanket with my girlfriend a couple of years ago in the summer. We're looking up at the tree. And up in the tree, I said to her, there's a dead branch. And as you know me, I get obsessed about everything astrological. And in this book, there's a chapter called The Six Polarities. And the Virgo opposition to Pisces is one of the polarities, probably the most important one. And they're really, really important to learn astrology. What does Aries opposite Libra mean? What does Taurus opposite Scorpio mean? Etc. So I said to her, if I were a Virgo, I couldn't sit here and rest with you. I'd have to climb that damn tree and get that branch out of there because it would drive me nuts. That's just Virgos have this constant feeling if I got to do something, they have to be productive and they want to fix what's wrong. Well, the perception that something's wrong is where they're wrong. Nothing wrong with a branch in a tree. I said, if I'm a Pisces, on the other end, I don't care if the branch is there or there are 5 branches there. It's all part of the natural world. So when I deal with Virgos, I have to spend a lot of time with them because I saw it today with my client. They almost have to get permission to go have fun, especially the men, because their instinct is so strong, you can't mess around. You're not here to mess around, goof around, get to work. And it's really strong. So what I do with my Virgos, I've learned through the years, I start with getting the panic out of their voice. Okay, step 1, what we're going to do is get you from got to do the dishes to got to do the dishes. Get the panic out. Well, what sign comes next? Libra. So the the sign behind you is always a sign that you really can't understand because you're growing out of that sign. So Virgo goes into Libra. What's Libra known as? Be nice and easy and tactful and smooth. Don't ruffle the feathers. I mean, you're a very classy woman. You're always nice and easy going and kind of smooth. And I would imagine if you find something wrong around you, you don't lose your mind about it like Virgos do. But what happens with Virgos, and we're probably going to talk a lot about this tonight, what happens with them? What are you saying to God when you find out everything that you're getting is wrong? I got a Virgo video. It's probably the most popular one on my site. Rick DiClemente Virgo. You'll see it. And you'll see a 25-minute video on the subject. Well, the thing is, you got to get to the point where you're fixing what's wrong, but not obsessing about it. And that's a real art. Because what happens is you're ending up saying to God, everything you send me is wrong. Have I got to fix it? Well, Virgos are very pure and they're very obedient, let's say, to the goddess energy. So it's a built-in awkwardness. And another thing about Virgo, it's stated real clearly in its book. Let me show you here. In the book makes a lot of emphasis between the first 6 signs and the last 6 signs. And Virgo is positioned as the last sign of the first 6. And in this tremendous change that takes place on this cusp between Virgo and Libra, because these are the 6 signs that are self-oriented. These are the 6 signs that are other-oriented. So what happens is Virgo is kind of embarrassed by what the first 5 signs have done, because the first 5 signs have no trouble bitching about something that's not them, and Virgo's not that way. Virgo is the buck stops here. I'm responsible. Let's fall off the horse, get back on. Not bitch about it, not complain, let's get moving, because it senses that we're going to go meet people. And when you cross that line, that critical line into Libra, that's the line, and that's why socializing is so strong of an impulse for Libras. Socializing is everything, being socially accepted. So if the Virgo is not careful, they'll end up being, the biggest thing happens is they become very embarrassed by their feelings. They shut off feelings. Although they're very pure, they're very nice, but they're embarrassed by them because feelings come out kind of sloppy and they're kind of gooey things. And Virgos don't like that. Virgos like things neat and orderly and fixed. Now, does that help at all? Does it? You know what, Barbara? What have you noticed when you have that Libra energy around Virgo energy?
Well, up until a few years ago, the Libra in me suppressed any kind of objection to Virgo person pushing their way in, and whether I've asked for their solution to whatever issue is out there. I never said anything, but now it's like, shut up. I don't want to hear what you have to say.
See, it's just not natural for Libras to say shut up. They're just so polite and pleasant.
Yeah, when you get frustrated, there's only so much.
That's exactly right. And sometimes Liza and I can tell you, we talk over every chart that we both do. Sometimes having a Virgo boss can be really tough.
Ugh.
It can really be tough because they all face it, everybody thinks that everybody else is like them, but they're not. So the Virgo thinks that everybody else should be like them. No bitching, no complaining, just get to work.
Yeah, just
not
I'll fix it for you. Do it. Yeah.
And not everybody's like that. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to take all the time. I want to get time for everybody to talk. And I thank you very much. Let's move on. Now, did Michelle have her hand in the air there? Oh, no, she didn't. Okay. Anybody? Linda Jordan has her hand up. I'm asking you to unmute Linda. Linda is another Libra. What's on your mind, Linda?
Well, I have to say Virgos are on my mind too. And not because I don't get along with them, but because I'm surrounded with them and they love me. Because and some of it is I'm really a good problem solver. It's because I can see 9 solutions to everything. And my former boss was a Virgo and she's a nun. And so it's like double Virgo, because it was like every problem was a crisis.
Well, yeah.
If it wasn't perfect, it was a crisis. And she wouldn't know what to do. And then she would come and stand in my door in my office and say, oh, dear, 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 this is broken. We have to fix it. And then she would just stand there. And I would say,
well, that's what Virgos do. Yeah.
Well, we could do A, or we could do B, or there's like 4 ways we could resolve this problem.
That's why Libra's in the position they're in. Libras are the negotiators, and us Capricorns like me and Marcia, we're really experts at backing ourselves into a corner by thinking this is the only way you can do it. Well, that's the only way you can do it. Just what Capricorns do. And our answer is Libras, because Libras say, oh, come on, you can do this. And
like so many ways that you can solve this problem.
That's the nice thing that Libra offers.
But like I can count 5 Virgos from my former boss to 2 other close colleagues and a close female friend and my gentleman friend, all Virgos, and they're just, it's amazing. I think
I think a lot of it's also because you have Scorpio rising, and you got to remember astrologically, Scorpios and Virgos have a real strong tie.
Well, I like draw them to me like magnets.
That's because of your Scorpio rising, I think, which means you're not afraid to call a spade. You are very accepting. And I think that's one reason. You see, Libra, Scorpio and Virgo are the 2 signs that just don't allow themselves excuses.
Well,
that's the thing about Virgo. No excuses here. Same with Scorpio. And I think they sense that with you, but they sense you're really pretty easygoing.
Well, but what I love about Virgos, I mean, first of all, they're the most single-tract-minded people I have ever met in my life. It's like,
Aquarius.
Oh, I dated an Aquarian in high school. He was worse than that.
They could be single pointed.
It's just like, okay, there's like we're going down the road, and then I was like, dude, there's like 9 ways to do this. And I've learned with Virgos to just shut up. I don't really say anything.
They're almost always right, and they are right.
Well, and the other thing about them is they're so reliable. I mean, a person who grew up like I did with a sort of chaotic home environment, I really like Virgos, because if they say they're going to be there at 11:30, they are there at 11:29.30.
Will you help me move? They say, yeah, and I do.
They do. Oh, I mean, seriously, I can call any Virgo I can call and they will come.
But the problem comes in here, that the Virgo, every one of your signs are lying to you. All of your sun signs are telling you, if you listen to just me, you'll be okay. And they're all lying, because they're all, the scales tip too far one direction. Not all problems can be solved by working harder. Not all problems can be solved by making 13 widgets today and making 14 tomorrow. And that's the myth that Virgos walk around with, that make 15 the next day. You're going to be better off. Wrong. That's not right.
Well, and they're not happy.
The only sign that can really get away with listening to itself at all times is the Pisces sign. Because the Pisces sign incorporates all 12, and it's always saying to us, just let go. Just let go. Things will be fine. Go ahead, Linda.
I was just going to say that, the thing about Virgos is they're so reliable.
Yeah.
They're so smart. They're when they're not dithering about something. And because when they go into the dithering, especially the women, when they go into the dithering phase, there's no talking to them. They're like
Well,
off the
one
reservation.
of the things that's funny is when they say, "Oh, I saw Marcia last Thursday." No, was it Thursday? No, I saw her Wednesday. No, it wasn't Wednesday. I was at the doctor.
Yes.
Thursday. No, was it
Precise.
Thursday morning? No, was it? Well, it must have been Wednesday. No, it's Thursday. And the reason they do that, because I analyze everything, why they do it. The reason they do that is if they don't do it, they upset your whole apple cart.
That
They
makes
just
perfect sense.
you get one little figurine out of the row, and whole thing's messed up. So what I want to point you to, and then we'll go on, is what in her book, The Fabulous Virgo, Mother Teresa said. Now, Mother Teresa was a great example of a Virgo because she just kept working. She just kept working. Astrologically, you stop at age 84 because you're just done. Well, the Virgos don't stop at a Saturn return. They don't stop at 84 because their whole thing's about working and getting us through it, about being very well productive. But she says, when I'm working, I'm not curing leprosy. When I'm working, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm not fixing this. I'm not fixing that. She transcended it. And she said, all I see are the different faces of Christ. She said, all day long, it's all I see are different faces of Christ. But there's a woman who transcended. So let's move on to Susan in Cleveland. Thank you, Linda.
Well,
Susan
you.
in Cleveland, because we have so much to talk about. I'm so glad people are reacting tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah, two things. First of all, with Virgos, the Virgos I know present and focus on problems and worry about them. I happen to be a really good troubleshooter, and I think outside the box well. It kills me not to jump in and offer solutions. It just kills me not to be able to do that. And this is where they get impatient with me. As far as Pisces goes, Pisces being ruled by Neptune, I'm not sure they can trust their own judgment about themselves.
They can't. No, don't have any idea. When a Pisces is in my office and they're just going on and on about, I don't know. I told Liza today, they don't know. Let's leave it at that. They don't know.
Right.
Thank you, Susan. Come on, Claudia, you're getting a lot of giggles over there. What's on your mind?
Boy, I can relate to so much of what everyone's saying. And I'm finding that as I change, of course, how I perceive the other signs and what irritates me, what I appreciate about them is different 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and today. And because I know there's all of us in a chart, it's changed it for me. I find that little things irritate me. And I think it's probably the fixed signs.
Fixed side, that's true. Yeah.
The fixed signs and the Taurus and the Scorpio and the Leos. And it makes sense because I'm a Taurus rising.
Because you're all fixed in a different way. Right?
Yeah.
Well, take a look at this. Take a look at this. Watch here. All of our problems come from we listen to ourselves only. We don't listen to the opposite energy. And that's why the polarities are so important. Understanding Aries, but understanding Libra. Understanding Gemini, but what's the difference with Sag? And the difference is one of them's in the I or me quadrant, and one is in the us quadrant. That's the difference. So when Aries is having problems, it's always because it's too self-oriented, and their problems are usually solved by thinking more about me plus you. If a Libra is having a problem, the Libra's thinking too much about the me plus you, not thinking enough about just me, like Barbara reported. So that's where it comes from.
Yeah. And I see that. I love to watch when I see a healthy or a good man or a mature manifestation of a sign. Oh,
Yeah,
I love
well
that.
balanced. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
And then I learn.
It's because it's because other planets are in the sign. It's not because they're using their sun sign, right? they've got other signs active in their chart in a pretty balanced way.
Yeah, yeah. And I gotta say, I've probably the one sign that gets to me the most is Gemini.
Okay, let's think about that now. Very good thing. Okay, you're a Leo, right?
Yeah.
So you're known for fixed fire. Think of the JFK fire coming from his grave, the flame that never goes out. You push the beach ball down, it always comes back up. You just don't suppress Leos. Okay, so what is it when you're with Gemini energy that irritates you?
They're just so here. I feel like they're just so
Cerebral.
cerebral, and
That's right.
and I have a lot of water in my chart, so I'm just like, listen, can you just for 1 second think about, I mean, I don't say this
Okay,
unless
ask
it's like
yourself, Claudia, why are Geminis here? What is the
to
Gemini influence that comes up through them? To do what?
to share information, to explore, to be curious, and
Right, about what? One thing they're curious about. Epistemology, how the mind works. They're obsessed with how the mind works. And you're trying to
Yeah.
get them to get excited and go do something. They don't want to go do something. They want to keep exploring.
figure it out. Yeah.
Well, yes, they want to figure out how the mind works. And David Hawkins is one of the greatest that ever got close to doing that. Maybe he did do it. And what does Leo want to do? Leo wants to find that life energy, right? Michelle, I'll get to you next. Leo wants to find that life energy, right? And be creative with it and keep burning. No matter whether anybody wants to take a break or not, or sit down and get a drink, you just want to keep burning. And actually, air signs, Gemini, and fire signs get along well.
Hmm.
But if it's too much, it's too much. It can be out of balance. Now, let me just interrupt one thing and say here before I forget to tell people who may not know this. You are not just a sun sign. In my chart, I have a lot of Capricorn, I have a lot of Aquarius, I have Pisces, I have a lot of Libra, I have some Sag. Most people have about 5 signs represented in their chart. Not 3, not 7, 5 or 4. Almost everybody. And we'll take a night, I've done this before. I've done this for free on Facebook, where I'll take one person at a time, tell you what your 5 signs are, and quickly tell you what I think your strongest is. It takes a lot of advanced knowledge to be able to do that quickly. It comes about from your planets in the signs, your planets in the houses, your planets in aspect to each other, etc., etc. John says, can you walk into a room and tell what side people are? Yeah, oftentimes I can, but oftentimes it'll fool you because of the plethora of other signs in their chart. My ex-wife, when I met her, I said, you're a Leo. No. You're a Sag. No. You're an Aries. No. Sure, she was Capricorn, but she had so much fire right by the ascendant that it can fool you. So don't get caught in that game. Thank you, Claudia. And we're moving over to, I think it was Michelle. Was it Leslie? It was Michelle. That's Michelle. Yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that's so funny because I'm a Gemini and I seem to get along really well with Leos. I thought we
Yeah.
were very compatible. I'm an air sign,
Right.
Leos, Aries, they're fire signs, so I tend to get along with them well. You know, I'm sure it's, as you were just saying, you know, how we have all these other signs in us and stuff, but I didn't know if that was typical of Geminis and Leos to kind of.
No, I think it's more common what you're saying than what she said. Yes, you're exactly right. Thank you. Let's go to Leslie has a hand raised, and when I close one box, somebody jumps across the screen. So I got to go find where'd she go to. There she
Here,
is. You're on.
talking about Leos. My sister was a Leo.
And you're Aquarius.
I'm Aquarius. I love my sister dearly. but heaven help me, Leos drive me crazy. When
Okay.
I walk into
This is-
a room, my spidey sense will tell me where the Leos are.
We're going to get into this now.
And they're opposites.
Leo's across the zodiac from Aquarius.
Mhm.
Leo is a personal sign. Aquarius is a group sign. So what is it that irritates you about Leos?
I use my sister as an example because I've known her all my life. When I was about 16, my sister spent 30 minutes telling me why I should wear lipstick, what color I should wear, how I should wear it, how I should never leave the house without it. And because of that, I have never worn lipstick in my life. I mean, how could that be important? I couldn't understand that.
Okay, all
We
right.
walked into a room, she would wear the jewelry and they would cling, 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 cling.
Yeah,
And she had the demeanor that when she walked into the room, everybody looked at her. She was
right.
magnetic.
That's
I
very common.
And I preferred to be the one that was looking at everybody else.
Okay.
We were so opposite.
Okay, now you're right on track. First thing, does she have Virgo in her chart?
I don't know.
Okay. Secondly, you got to remember, let's take a pause for a moment, come back to this. The three fire signs, they're never wrong. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. The Aries, these are just my opinions. The Aries thinks they're never wrong. And they're oftentimes real wrong, but they're so much on their way, they don't care. They just appear very confident. The Leos really need one thing. They need attention and they need verification that what they just did was really good. Yeah, what you did was good, right?
Yeah.
That's why they want that center light. The Sages are wrong all the time and they don't care because they just change the subject. It's just that simple. Now, it's not that these signs are built to be arrogant. That's not how it works. They're built with fire. And fire, at your basic element, is zest. It's zest for life. And what they're really saying to you is, this thing I'm into is so valid, which it is, because they're into the spirit of the thing. They can't stop and analyze it. What's Aquarius do? Your Leo sister was threatened by you because you're cool and you're distant and you're aloof and you think things through, and she doesn't want that. She doesn't want to be dismantled because she does not want the possibility ever of her being wrong. So what do Leos often do? Very often, is they put down somebody else. Not always, but I tell it like it is on this show.
She has
Leos,
the answer for everything.
many Leos live off of putting people down.
Mhm.
They live off it. Many of them are wonderful and they don't. So it all depends. So you are a constant threat. But the biggest threat in the zodiac is this. Leos are about me on stage. Aquarius is about us on stage. And Leo's like, I'm not sharing the stage with these people. I just got the stage. It's my stage.
Yeah.
You see, to you, that's offensive. It ain't your stage, it's our stage. See, that all goes back to these basic principles. Thank you, Leslie. That was a really good one.
And I want to say, Claudia, I apologize. I'm sure that as a Leo, we would get along just fine.
Oh, I think
Oh, no, it's okay. Don't.
you get
trust
along
me.
just fine. Remember
sure
now,
we
you have to
would.
think now. Claudia has a T-squared Neptune. So you have to know deeper in this chart. She's got a T-square or a triangle to Neptune. So she has a lot of Pisces energy.
Yeah.
So when you have a lot of Pisces energy, it brings out a different side of the Leo. Also, Leo males and females are really different. But Leo's a very loving sign, and so is Neptune or Pisces. So you can sense that with Claudia. She has a very loving nature. Thank you, Leslie. That was really good. I hope we didn't. I'm glad we're on Zoom so we won't end up fighting. I'm glad we're on. John, why didn't you tell me, man? Why didn't you tell me 2 years ago? Put my money in Zoom. Why did you tell me? I can't believe I missed that. Okay, who's next? Who's next? Come on, Dr. John. Marcia, bud, go ahead. You got to unmute there. Yeah, Marcia.
I'd like to talk about the intestinal component of Virgo.
Okay. Now, without a doubt, after 43 years of doing this, and I'm not a medical astrologer because medical astrology is very tough to do. Without a doubt, the number one thing an astrologer sees that is problematic with the body are intestinal problems with Virgos.
Mhm.
There's no doubt. Some other parts of the body, okay. But the reason why I've discovered about 2 years ago inadvertently when I was writing an article, a newsletter about who flows and who doesn't flow. Go with the flow. Who flows with life, who doesn't? Well, the people that don't flow, you happen to be married to one and you're the other. So the non-fluid signs are the Virgos and the Capricorns. There are others like Taurus, they don't usually flow real well. It all depends. But Virgos and Capricorns have a difficult time with flowing. So I got down to thinking, well, why is it? Well, the reason Virgos don't flow is because you just can't let that conveyor belt go. You just can't. Oh, stop it. I saw a bad one there. Let it go, let it go. Oh, stop it. They just can't let it go because they're programmed to stop, fix what they just saw, let it go, let it go, let it go. So I realized that. Then I got to thinking, why are these people getting sick in their upper GI tract? Well, your body's a neutral object. The body only does what the mind says. And the mind says, go, 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 stop, go, 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 stop. So imagine the food trying to get through your system. And it's just going, we're going to stop, going, go, we're going to stop. Is he going to jerk me? Is he going to stop? So it's just non-fluid. And you find this pattern in everything they do. It's because the mind, because their main objective is to be on the alert to find something wrong and fix it. But like I said, what you really need to do with Virgos is to implement the Pisces, the opposite, which is the let it be side, to let it be, let it go, let it flow. Because Pisces will just let any old stuff flow by. Now you got a whole different problem, just flowing by, just let it go unchecked. This drives Virgos nuts. So I really believe that's the reason that they have it. And the ones I've worked with Crohn's disease, the ones I've worked with chronic diseases, the ones who have worked on, you have to work on not working.
Right.
The ones I've worked on
Mhm.
getting them to just soften, to let go, they do better. And another big thing you need to remember is all these planets have been going, Neptune's been going through Pisces the last 10 years. And Neptune's been opposite Virgo. And as it's been going through Pisces, it's been hitting all these Virgo planets. And a lot of the Virgo planets have relaxed, they've softened, they've taken things easier, and the body follows suit. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Now you notice, I don't know Flip well, but you notice your Virgo husband, if he gets irritation in that area, try to tie it right back to the day before, the day of getting upset about something, stopping the flow. And I know you real well. You're not an uptight Capricorn. You're pretty fluid for
Mhm.
Capricorn. You're really pretty fluid. Let it go. So that's why you don't get trouble by it. That's my opinion.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
What do you think about your Gemini sister?
Oh my God. Oh,
Tell me
oh,
about your Gemini sister.
she wants to live her life, pandemic or not. Does that give you an answer?
Yeah, pandemic, schmendemic. Don't pay attention to it.
I mean, there's awareness, of course, of the pandemic and what you have to do. But at this point, she's going to live her life.
Well, one of the things about Gemini, and I don't really know where this comes from, watch, this is true all over, watch. If it's serious, they take it lightly. If it's light, they take it seriously.
Oh, that is
And
true.
just so true.
That's true. Yes.
And
Uh-huh.
I have ideas about it, but that was the hardest part of the book to write. The hardest part was to explain why Geminis are the twins. That was the main reason I started to write that book.
Mhm.
And I asked all over the country, why are Geminis the twins? And nobody knows. And I think I figured it out. So you have to read the book to find out why.
I have to reread it again.
I have to reread it. And
Yeah.
I think I got real close to it if it's not right. But
Mhm.
Gemini is a very hard sign to figure out. And the reason why is the first four signs are really, they're so pure. They're hard to figure because they're so simple. Aries is just fire.
Mhm.
And if you think about other stuff, it's just extraneous. Taurus, just Earth.
Mhm.
Well, you can't imagine how something's just Earth. Of course, they have other signs. And Gemini is just air. And what does just air do? It's just like this balloon going over. And the one that really got us, it really put a pause in our work when we were working on the book, is the Cancer. The Cancer really struck us for a big, big curveball because we started to think, what's it like to be just a water sign? You've never had water before. All of a sudden, you got all these feelings. What do you do with just feelings? What do you do with it? So when you get past the first four signs, things become complex because they start to intermingle. But the first four signs are very complicated for that reason.
Mhm.
Thank you, Marcia.
Sure. Thank you.
Now, Anita, I know you're listening. If you got something to say, you can chip right in. I hope your headache went away. Okay, who's next? Come on, Erica. You ain't said nothing. Erica, what do you see when you look at them across the zodiac?
Well, I would have to say that I find certain things about almost every single sign, which is frustrating and annoying, but some of the ones, and that's only because of my own personal connections to people, so specific people, and I can't generalize the entire sign, but I just get so frustrated with Pisces because they don't seem to want to ever take any responsibility for anything. And I'm a big responsibility
Okay,
person.
hold on right there. Hold on right there. The reason they don't seem to take a lot of responsibility is because they don't.
I know, and that drives
Not
me
that they
crazy.
seem to, they don't. Now that's
And I wouldn't
now that's-
care if they hadn't hurt somebody, but
Now, hold
because
on a
they've
minute.
hurt somebody I love.
we need a bunch of caveats in here. Okay. First of all, there's a lot of very responsible Pisces. See how dangerous it is? I got to avoid all my hate mail.
Well, that's why I said it's specific people with specific relationships that have made me this way.
Remember what is at the very source, what is at the very base of a Pisces?
Fog.
Oh, come on. God, I'm creating a character. Let them have fog. No, it's not that.
Oh, God,
that they don't see the difference between anything.
Reality.
Listen,
I know.
Listen
and there's
to
so
me.
many differences.
Listen to me. Virgo is opposite Pisces. Virgo, everything's different. You see that? Did you notice that dot on her forehead? Did you see that was 3 inches? It wasn't 2 inches. Virgo, everything's that. Pisces opposite. That's why Pisces come home with their boyfriend and you go, who's that? And they drag home a wet dog. Where'd you get that? They don't differentiate. Now, what Pisces is built of is let it go. It'll be okay. Now, here's the difference. Here's the difference, Erica. There are two kinds of let it go, it'll be okay. There's one that's very beautiful because you have faith in God, you have faith in the world, and you get all uptight and you say to yourself, let it go to be all right. That's the beautiful side of Pisces. Then there's the beach bum. Okay? Hey man, just let it go. Don't worry about it. Nothing, it'll all work out. Okay? And that's the side that bothers you. Because you are active, you got a lot of Aries, you get moving, you deal with stuff. Yes. Now, Pisces can be very harmful to a family because they're like a wet towel somebody throws on your lap. You're just going to have to deal with it because I'm not. Well, I'm not dealing with your wet towel. Get that wet towel out of here. So you're exactly right. But you try to talk to them and see, you can't use reason.
Get it.
You
No.
can't use reason with a water sign. You
Nope.
can't explain to them why they need to be responsible. They just don't. Sagittarius and Pisces, they don't worry about it. A lot of them, not all of them, of course. You can't use reason with water signs because they're a feeling sign and they're the opposite side of the brain. Okay, Erica, thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, come on. You're twisting your neck upside down, inside out, Shelley. Let's see what's on Shelley's mind here. I'm going to unmute you. I'm asking to unmute you. Okay.
I'm taking it all in. My first thought when I knew we were doing this was Aries.
Okay, what you feeling about Aries?
Well, you know my dad.
You're a Virgo?
I'm a Cancer. I'm a double Cancer.
You're a Cancer, and you're the Cancer, and you're the right angle to Aries. Okay, it's a built-in square. Okay.
Yep.
You're Cancer. Why do you have difficulty with Aries?
Men primarily, more than
but
women.
Your dad was different. He was aggressive.
But I find even other male Aries, their self, and being Cancer and Scorpio. I mean, I've got so much water, and I'm you, and so women. My three closest friends are female friends are Aries. And so I have an easy time with female Aries.
First of all, the Aries energy definitely acts differently with the men than it does through the women. Why do you have trouble with the Aries men?
They are domineering, but they're truly insecure, but act like they're extraordinarily secure. And I know that they're not secure, and they're bullies, and they're selfish. It's that selfishness for me. And it's not fair to generalize, but the Aries men that I've met, I hope none of you guys out here.
Let me interrupt with one thing here. And this is something I had to give a lot of consideration to writing the first chapter. Okay. When we wrote the book, we didn't want to use the word selfish. So we worked very hard at dividing half the zodiac into self-oriented and other-oriented. And that's more accurate because some Aries people are just wonderful. There's no problem at all. Here's the difference. Okay. When my son was very little, he took a board and a nail and a hammer, and Dad let him pound the nail into the board. And he handed it to me and said, "Look what I did." That is the good Aries. It's that simple. What is Aries? Aries is the God part that said, maybe I should separate from myself so that I can sense myself. So you have the illusion of duality beginning. It just starts in the sign of Aries. And that's why Aries have this sense of, I have to be fascinated with what I can do. I'm fascinated. Look at the things I can do. And when my son showed me that board with that nail in it, he was proud of himself. There wasn't anything selfish about it. It was adorable. Versus, I don't want anybody looking at anybody's board. All you want to do is look at my board and all my nails. Okay? And I'm going to tell you the truth. I've dealt with a lot. most Aries people are not selfish. Most of them are not. They're just not. They're self-oriented. But the thing that's hard to deal with Aries, all the 11 signs of the zodiac, 2 in Aries, the other 11 signs are just like ornaments going around the baby crib.
Yes.
Everything is like interesting. It's here to entertain me. Look at it. It's here to entertain me. Aries has no idea that there is somebody else.
Right.
These were very hard to do. This was no happenstance. This took a lot of 35 years of thought to get the original draft done. And remember, when you are an Aries, you are an Aries. When you're a Taurus, you're a Taurus.
So let me
all-
ask this.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No.
So how does so is a Cancer, a double Cancer at that, and that person is self-oriented and is extraordinarily
So
self-oriented.
it's Cancer. So first 6 signs are self-oriented. The question is this. Cancer is all about getting their emotional needs met, right? And you're with the sign who has no clue what you're talking about. That's the problem with the square.
Right.
Okay. The square of the 4 cardinal signs. Aries. Let me show you the 4 cardinal signs. No, that ain't right.
Cancer.
Let me show you. Right. Here's the 4 cardinal signs. This is all delineated in the book. There's your Aries. There's the Cancer. There's the Libra. There's the Capricorn. These are the leaders of the zodiac. These are generators. They don't need something from the outside. They get things started by themselves. Well, the Aries is first because it's got the machete and it's out there in the woods and it's knocking the weeds down and it's creating a path for everybody. Ram Dass. Cancer. Cancer's doing the same thing, but it's doing it emotionally. You have a different element. They're fire, you're water. You're leading the way with water. That's why everything you say to anybody is how you feeling. You feel okay? How's mom feeling? How's your dad been feeling? Everybody feel all right? They don't care how you feel. They're busy blazing a trail. You're all worried about how you feel. They're not going to stop and be sensitive to you because you don't stop in Aries. Aries is not here to stop. Aries is a green light. It's here to go. Libra. Ideas. They lead through thought, through ideas, through communicating, teaching your children to think. Well, the Cancer doesn't want to know what you think. They want to be taken care of emotionally. So the Libra is not a good choice for you either. The Capricorn, most of the time oppositions are better than people think they are. The Capricorn is leading through the physical plane, how you do things. You lead through emotion. So that's why you're better off with Scorpios and with Pisces, the other water signs. Now, you've got I noticed when I looked at your father's chart, you have a blown out of proportion Aries. He's not representative of what most Aries are like because other things happened in his chart that caused him to be more aggressive than a typical Aries is. But Cancers are what? Cancers need to be treated delicately. They need to be treated honestly and with white gloves and with care. And if you don't treat a Cancer that way, you got to get out of their life because the Cancer can't handle it. It's just a sensitive sign. It's that simple. There's nothing wrong with Cancer. It's just a sensitive sign. Thank you, Shelley. Come on, Dr. John, and hear a word from you, brother.
I'm just taking in all this wisdom, Rick.
Well, I know, but I know you're taking it all into your earth. What signs do you start squirming with?
I don't know that I have one. Like I feel like I get along with all the signs pretty well. Like
you do. I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to really stop and think about it. I mean, I've had a hard time with Sagittarians a little bit in my life, but I also have 2 parents who are Sagittarians too. So
the most devastating energy in my life, people won't believe this, but if you add up everything and all the signs and all the planets, Ray, I'll get you next. The most devastating planet in my life has not been Pluto, it's been Jupiter. Without a doubt, and I'm not going to get into why. So Jupiter can really BS people because people think it's just always good, and it isn't. Sometimes it's just BS. But John, I think you're exactly right. You're really Mr. Easygoing, and
maybe to a fault. Maybe to a fault.
I don't think we're going to go there. We need to model ourselves after you, not vice versa. Thank you, John. Now, somebody had just raised their hand. Who was it? Ray. Ray.
That'd be me.
Okay, Ray, go ahead with your vote.
Holy crap, I found out I have a type.
You got a what?
I have a type. So I am an Aquarian with a Taurus moon, and the 3 most important like intimate partner relationships I've had have been water signs and water sun signs and fire moon signs.
Well, you have Saturn and Cancer rising.
Yes.
Now we know why the water. You need that water because it's not a natural element for Aquarius. Right. Aquarius is very intellectual, even though that word aqua will deceive you. Aqua has nothing to do with water. It has to do with water bearer.
Right, right.
Okay, so you have what feelings about what signs?
Well, 3 of the most important romantic relationships in my life, they've been with a Pisces. 2 of them have been Pisces, and 1 was a Scorpio, and the Scorpio was kind of controlling, but 2 Aries moons and 1 Sag moon. So that kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's just funny. I was just pulling up some charts while you were talking, but
well, they're going to be. You have Saturn next to the moon, right?
Nope. Saturn's in my 11th.
You have Saturn in Cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, your whole thing's about water. Your whole chart, I've read it many times. Your whole chart is about water, getting more water, dealing with water. So it'd be very interesting to question you about how you've gotten along with water signs. You got to remember, each of the 12 signs has a basic thing to do. Let's go through that quickly. I don't think it'll hurt a thing. Aries. Aries is here to test themselves. Get out of my way. I'm going to go do something. I'm put a nail on a board and show you how I did it. Taurus. Taurus, come to my house. We'll sit down. We'll get a sandwich. We'll get something to eat. We'll be nice and relaxed. We're going to talk about the fireplace. We're going to take our time, take it easy. Planting ourselves in the soil. Getting planted in the soil of selfness. Gemini, and they're all vastly different from the one before. Gemini's the butterflies, just running around, flying around. Look at this, look at this, look at that, look at that. When you absolutely understand the essence of each sign, it makes sense why they do what they do. Cancer. And Liza came up with this one. With the splashdown. Remember the old days when the returning spaceship would come and the capsule would splash down in the water with all the parachutes and all the helicopters would come out. That's what she saw, and we titled that chapter after that. That's the Cancer hitting the water, and no one's been in the water before. Right? It's still getting thrown in the water, and you've never been there before. Of course, everybody else has water to minor degrees, but Cancer is the sign. And what do you do when you're thrown in the water? You run for something to hold on to. It's that simple. Leo. I'm going to express myself. I need to be respected. And it's not me this week, it's them. This is the first sign where you get a sense of them. Notice it's not the first 4. The 5th sign says, well, I'm not that timid. I'm ruling this jungle. All Leos have a domain that they rule. And I'm here to rule it and show you that it's not my fault. De Niro, the Leo, you're talking to me? You ain't talking to me. That's the Leo energy. It's called cockiness, but there's a good cocky and there's a bad cocky. Virgo. I'm keeping my mouth shut about all this stuff because you've all put your foot in your mouth, and I'm here to just clean it all up and get my hair nice and straight and get my job nice and straight and keep my mouth zipped and don't criticize anybody because I can sense we're going to go meet people. So we cross into Libra. Oh, Libra, everybody go to the party. We're all meeting and shaking hands. And it's so nice to see everybody and meet everybody. And everybody's so pleasant. And we're all so social. Very important sign because it's the first of the last 6. Next sign, heavy duty, because this quadrant is all about relationships. This is all I'm reciting directly from the book. These 2 signs, Libra and Scorpio, are the most intense about relationships. And if you've got a lot of planets in those 2 signs, then too much of your life is based upon the nature of your relationship. Scorpio is about the intense part, the sex, the lust, getting married, soap opera, getting together real tight. And all the wonderful things that come with that, and all the terrible things that come with it. And that's why Scorpio, and people always sneak up on Scorpio and they say, Scorpio, they're scared to death of it because they're so intense emotionally. Fixed water. Sag comes out of the Libra identification through the ballroom and the identification from the bedroom. And Sag just says, to hell with all this stuff. It's all been too heavy. Let's have some fun. A fire sign. Let's travel. Let's go to other schools. Let's talk about government. Let's all go around and not worry so much about stuff and have fun. Sag. If it ain't funny, I'm not doing it. Capricorn. Every sign changes to a completely different energy. Capricorn, now we're in the quadrant of the world and beyond. Now, the worldly sign of all, that's why he's at the top of the zodiac, is Capricorn. So Capricorn's all about stating your place in the world. And all Capricorns have a strong sense of duty and a strong sense of responsibility, even to the point where they start to squelch their own individuality, which has been working very hard to get stronger. Then you get into Aquarius, and Aquarius is all about the rights of the individual. They're very tolerant. Everybody be what you want to be free and be what you want to be. But you don't tell these people what to do. They're just not going to listen to you. They listen to themselves. Fixed air, fixed mind. Very strong, very cerebral, putting the big mental picture together. So after all of this, you go through 11 stages of the self getting stronger and gathering stuff and gathering their mind and gathering their feeling, gathering their fire, gathering their work habits and their partner, and they go to school and they get their position and they gather their friends and everything. Well, the final stage of Pisces is the stage where you have to let it all go. Because you can't get into heaven when you're carrying a bunch of logs. You can't get in. You can't get through the doorway with all these logs. So you have to drop it all to get through. And that's antithetical to the other 11 signs. Pisces is all about let it go. Be selfless. And the book focuses a lot on Pisces because it's a hard sign to be, because it's misunderstood, which is why I excelled so much. I expressed so much when I had Deneen on here a couple weeks ago, because you don't often see somebody who's a very successful, inwardly balanced Pisces like Deneen. So that was my little 2 cents on that. That's a synopsis of what's in the book. Okay, come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Marcia, you got other thoughts in there. I see them in there, floating behind your hippie glasses. Anita raised her hand.
Oh, yes, Anita. Ask Anita.
Yeah, she raised her hand. Anita, go ahead.
Hey, Rick. Hey, everybody.
She's a Cancer.
So yeah, I'm a Cancer. And the two signs that sort of unnerve me are Scorpio and Pisces. I find myself most distrusting.
Okay, let's take them one at a time now. What is the distrust about with Scorpio?
With Scorpio, the stinging effect, their ability to strike.
It's a fearsome quality. Yeah, it's the most.
Yeah, I sort of feel like I'm gonna get struck from the back.
Oh
from
yeah,
Scorpions.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel.
Yeah.
And with Pisces, I understand that it's sort of reaching that place where you let things go, but I also feel like many of the experiences that I've had with Pisces have been oh boy, I want to be careful, that letting go is not necessarily what I would say would be the best way to handle something in a certain situation. So I struggle with their wanting to let something go and me wanting to hold
Well,
on.
you've opened up a lot of stuff here. First of all, with Scorpios, there are two kinds of Scorpios. There's the ones that hate themselves and the ones that don't. And that's black and white. If they hate themselves, they're going to hate you. They're going to come after you in the sneakiest way possible, and you got to get the hell out. If they don't hate themselves and they love themselves, they probably are marvelous and the most powerful people you ever meet. And they're behind you, and they're not going to screw you over, because everything in Scorpio is based on the word betrayal. And they don't allow themselves to betray somebody. They'll cut your throat if you betray them. They take it that seriously. And they don't realize that other signs are different. Other signs don't feel this intensely. So you got to just sense right away. I could tell in the first 5 seconds if I got one that hates himself or doesn't. And if they hate themselves, all they're going to do is look for your weak spot and go after it. So you're right. Pisces, another really interesting sign. Very overrated sign. Most criminals I've ever studied are Pisces. Okay? It's not because the Pisces says go do something illegal. It's not because it says go do something nefarious. Their disaffinity to playing along like everybody else does leads them down solo paths that are seldom tread. And they will do things and no sign BSs themselves like a Pisces. And when a Pisces gets in trouble, it's not because of the Pisces energy, it's because the Pisces energy is not strong enough to withstand all the other energy in their chart. When I study mass killers, and I'm an expert on serial killers because I've studied them 40 years. There's no doubt, and I've seen it corroborated in this past year by other people, there's no doubt that the 4 immutable signs are the top 4. Number 1, Geminis. Number 2, Sagittarius. Number 3, Pisces and Virgos. And the reason Geminis aren't made to murder people, etc., but their nature is to be giving and get out of the way and let things happen. So when you see a Gemini who's a murderer, it's not because of the Gemini, it's because the Gemini is not strong enough to stop other fights going on in the chart. So they might have Pluto Mars in their chart, and the Pisces or the Gemini is not strong enough of character to withhold it. So it gets through. And the Gemini says, hey, why not? Let's try it. There's no doubt Gemini, Sag, 1 and 2. Number 2. Now, it's not because, again, their nature is nasty. It's not. It's because they don't have like a Leo has, or a Taurus has, or a Capricorn, or an Aquarian. They have a strong sense of self that won't allow those fights to come through. Now, with your Pisces people, a lot of them are just plain old sneaky. A lot of them are plain old sneaky. And it's just that simple, because it's very, very difficult to be a proper Pisces. That's my answer. Okay, Anita?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You are welcome. Somebody else, as they said, John had a question earlier. John?
Yeah, it's a question.
Well, we have to do this more often.
Yeah, the question I put in the chat.
Yeah.
How about mental illness? How does it fit into the signs like bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder? I have trouble with some folks who in those areas.
I will tell you very clearly, when a person has too much Gemini, and there are some signs that should not have more than one planet there. Some signs should not have more than one because it's just too much. When Geminis have more than one, it gets really tough for them. It gets really tough for them to keep it together because there's no central hub. It's like a Christmas tree with no center. There's nowhere to put the different branches. Geminis do not have a center. They're non-central. Yes, Colleen, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And they look at us Tauruses, and they look at us Libras, and they look at us Scorpios and Capricorns, and we have these real strong centers, and they don't have one. Why? Because they're busy being a butterfly. You see, we all have to work together, all of us. We're meant to be a collective, and nobody's chart's perfect. As a matter of fact, very, very few charts are even well balanced. Most charts are out of whack somewhere, but mental illness can come in with too much Gemini. It can come in with problems when your Mercury, which is your mind, when your Mercury's aspected by Uranus, when it's aspected by Neptune especially, then the mind just can't think straight. It's being bombarded by outer energies that are so powerful, and unless the sun sign can deal with it, it's hard for them. So I would say without a doubt, mental illness is mercurial, sometimes it's Venusian, but it's usually when it's being interrupted by squares or oppositions from Neptune or from Uranus. Neptune and Uranus are the two planets that really can get you askance. You got to remember, everybody's doing their best. But the problem we all have is we listen to what we got too much. And it's really hard in astrology to say, I'm a Capricorn, I'm going to really listen to my Cancer part. I don't have any planets in Cancer. And that's my answer, is to activate the Cancer part of me. It's always to activate the opposite sign of you. That's how you get out of the trouble you're in. Your trouble is either I'm too selfish or I'm too otherish. Some people that are all Aquarius and they're all Pisces, they're so spaced out and they got the most far out theories, but they don't know how to even go to the drugstore. And other people are so Aries or so Taurus or so Gemini, and they don't understand why everybody's just not serving them. They feel so entitled. This is why astrology, the real astrology, should be taught all 12 grades in school. because it's telling you how people are made up, how businesses are made up, how all entities are made up of. Anyhow, anybody else want to go? We got about 10 minutes left.
I have a question, Rick.
Yes, Claudia.
So this is a little bit superficial.
We don't allow any superficial.
So we know that we have to consider the whole chart. We know that. Let's put that aside for a moment. In general, do you see certain couplings, as a couple in a marriage or a relationship?
Yeah.
Do you see ones that you see more often than others?
Yeah, there's no doubt. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure it's why the reason people think, but the most common ones are Cancers and Tauruses. Because the Cancer, it's like the moon in Taurus. The Cancer is the water and the Taurus is the holder.
Yeah.
So the Taurus is the solidification, but it dries up without the water. So Taurus and Cancer is very common. Also, very common is Virgo and Cancer, Virgo and Pisces. The Virgo Pisces is not compatible. It's thank you, Liza. Complimentary. See how she just complimented me when I missed the word? Okay. Yeah. Other signs you don't see that often. I mean, Taurus, Gemini. You know what's really weird? One of the things you'll see over and over is Gemini, Scorpio.
Yeah, I would
Very
not,
common. And I think it's because they both are such mysteries to each other.
Mm.
Yeah, Leslie, you Virgo and your Aquarius with you and Cliff is not a common one. I know you two hit it off well. I like to study what was deeper, but it's not one that's common. Virgos, Libras. There are some signs that just don't match at all. Scorpios and Geminis are really, really common.
I just would never think that.
Yeah, but it really is. Scorpio men, Gemini women. I have a lot of reasons I think that is. Yeah, Shelley. You're muted, dear. Okay, let's try. Go ahead.
Claudia, I got it. Claudia, you're talking about superficial. So you hit a chord with me so deeply, Cancer that I am, when you said that Scorpios either love or hate themselves. And it's hard for me because I've got my Scorpio in my chart, that's my rising, and it's so a part of me. And I don't feel there's a self-hatred. I mean, there's a questioning, but I don't feel self-hatred. And yet I know that in my younger years, especially, I'm much more conscious of it now, that when you said I could melt someone's face. I mean,
think about watching Richard Burton. Think about his Scorpio sun and his Pisces wife with the moon in Scorpio. That's the Scorpio energy we're talking about here. There's no excuse at all for weakness. That's part of Pluto. And if you let that part go too wild, too strong, then you're never happy. Nothing you can do is good enough. And when you start to hate yourself, as Pluto can do it, then you look around and you just can't stand to see all this weakness around you. You can't stand it. And Scorpio wants to rub it out. That's where it comes from. And it's a higher dimension of Pluto that is the ego, that is compassionate and is really beautiful. You can see that in Dan Rather. You can see it in Sally Fields. You can see it in a lot of higher Scorpios who are riding the higher plane, where they have ignited the compassion within.
Do you not feel that some of it even more don't you feel that some of it is more the betrayal than weakness? You feel it's more weakness than betrayal?
I don't think it has anything to do with betrayal. I think it has to do with betraying themselves.
Got it.
The more I do, and this might be a good way to wrap the show up, the more I do astrology, the more I go into the past lives. And I'm not going into the past lives to find you were a mermaid somewhere, you were a dock worker in Japan. I'm not going to find out what you did. I'm going back into your past lives to find out what was the theme of your spiritual lives. This theme comes across. And without this 12th harmonic, which is the one that shows us this, we cannot sit here and answer why someone is the way they are. And I've been tutoring John for a long time, and John can tell you, when you look into the 12th harmonic, you see why the person has this bent the way they have it, why they have this bent towards being soapboxy, why they have this bent towards being self-repressive, whatever it is. So when you start to study that, what happens is two things. You can start to envision the person with their spirit guide before they take this lifetime. And they go over with their spirit guide and they look, your life flashes before you. And you go and you study all the lifetimes you've had, and you start to sense, well, I'd better correct this. Well, I'd better get more this way, etc. And so what we design with the spirit guide is the exact precise time of birth and place of birth. And we get those energies in the birth chart. And that's why in this birth chart, you keep having Aries influences, you keep having Sag influences, because you've built it into the birth chart. Well, the reason you build it into the birth chart is because you think and you become convinced that if you get more balanced like that, that heaven's going to open up for you. And that's where the error is. This is what I finally learned in the last 2 years. All these self-corrections that you did were incorrect. They're not necessary. You don't need to correct anything. And that's why I'm looking for a new planet. Out of the 80 that just came in 2006, we're on to Aries now, many of us. We got Make, and we got Haumea and all these others, which I've studied, and they're not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 2 other planets that are going to have an essence of you're fine the way you are. Because when we start to analyze, when we take this life and we start to look at our imperfections, that's where we're wrong. We're not imperfect. We're always perfect, as we are. So when you start to drop these challenges and start to see that the heavens gates are always open, you see everything differently. And that's what's happening to us now. There are 2 things happening to us now. One is we're starting to see that we're always fine. And boy, does this raise hell with the Middle East and with other religions and with other governments and with all the policies and all the different programs and all the different institutions. And the other one we're seeing is what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, the Anima Mundi. We are becoming a one that's never been one before, or maybe back in Atlantis or something that I don't know. We've been China, we've been Canada, we've been Argentina. We've all studied and majored in our differences, but now we're very quickly being forced to, i.e. COVID, we're being forced to look at ourselves as one, which means giving up statehood, giving up nationalities. People don't want to give that up. It's like a call cause of ego. I was raised in Albania. What the hell do you mean? And they don't want to give that up. And it's happening very fast. And this is what's going on. It's starting here with this ridiculous problem that we can't solve about training Black people right. We can't get past that one little thing, the color of somebody's skin. So I'm looking for outer planets that are amongst the 80 new ones that are going to represent those 2 new energies, because I can feel them. They're out there. They're not, it's not Eris. It's not Pluto. It's not the inner planets. It's two new energies. Now, will we succeed? Will we fight them? I don't know. Nobody knows. All I know is we ain't going to succeed without help. That's what I know. We're not going to succeed without him or her or it or whatever it is helping us. Now, next week, I'm going to end the show now. I thank you all. It's been a really good talk. We'll do this more often because I think it was really very healthy. Next week, good old Liza Jane Brown, my partner, she has been working so hard. She just resigned. She retired. And she's been marking down what planets she went through when she went through her changes. Because she started to be astrologer in 1977. I started in 78. So we're going to go back and I'm going to be the interviewer next week and she's going to be interviewed. And we're going to see what planets came to her when she started her office, what happened when she got married, what happened when she started doing social work. And it's not so much about her life. It's about another example to show you that these planets hit when things happen. And the kind of thing that happens is related to the kind of planet it is. So that'll be next week, and then we'll go from there. Linda, did you have something else to say? I guess, no, she's just saying bye-bye. Okay, everybody, thank you all. Let me say something if you'd like to. If not, thanks to all you YouTubers for joining us. If you want to join us anytime, Thursday nights, 8 o'clock, just go to Google and type in Astrology Unplugged and you'll find your link there. This will be up and running tonight sometimes. Thanks to everybody for chipping in. There's the kitty cat. Those tuxedos, they don't like to be told what to do.
They're the best though.
Oh, mine is so cool. It's unbelievable. I'm going to go get his mouse and play with him. So good night, everybody.
Have fun.
Good night, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, thanks again.
Bye.